I was insufficient to be in a good relationship. This not only led to my lack of confidence in relationships with girlfriends, but it helped fuel my continued lack of confidence and or motivation in life. I had already been diagnosed with depression and fatigue, and the major breakup only served to depress me even further. When I first started being in a relationship with my wife, I recalled that I did not want another breakup to be the result of a problem with intimacy. Thus, I was thoroughly honest and open with her from the get-go, making certain to tell her every single one of my deepest, darkest secrets. I figured if we got everything out in the open between us at the beginning, there would be no surprises down the road. We were completely honest with each other then, and we still are so now. Although this, what I'm referring to in the book by saying now, this was when we were still together, 5 years ago. It's actually 5.5 years ago was when I wrote this book. Actually, 5 years ago. Um, at any rate, we are open books with each other, and I feel it is that intimacy, coupled with a very strong love for one another, which will help to ensure the strength of our marriage for many, many years to come. Yeah, it was something else that, yeah, the, I don't know, maybe partly that, because of our divorce. Anyway, without going into that, in past relationships, I was too wrapped up in myself to see what I needed to do to keep my partner's needs fulfilled, so far as what she needed from me to be happy in our relationship. Relationships or partnerships are two-way streets. Both people need to participate. When it happens that only one person is fully present and participating, they begin to feel alone and unappreciated in their work. When both people are contributing what they can to the relationship, both people then reap the benefits of the relationship and feel more satisfied. When it comes to relationships with family, I have a multitude of them with so many family members. I will just say that my family should be labeled as a nuclear family. I've seen that term somewhere. Um, I put quotation marks around nuclear because I do not mean the textbook definition of the term, as it is two parents and their children. In my family, there have been divorces, remarriages, and adoptions. The way I have always been is that once I am close enough to say someone is a family member, I consider that person a member of my family from that point on, regardless of divorce, since I am not the one getting the divorce. I try to stay connected to family members, but as of late, I have been working on both self-development and my relationship with my wife. Hence, I have essentially been isolating myself from my family. I have not always been as close to all of the members of my family as I would have liked to have been. But the relationships are there, and that is what counts. Is it not? I have heard it said that being occupied with the business of one's personal life is no excuse for not showing more attention to family members. This is definitely a point I need to work on, or better yet, I simply need to show more attention to members of my family that do not live under the same roof as myself. The only family members that live with me are my wife and pets. And of course, now I have neither. I live with roommates. Um, so that leaves a lot of people that I need to get reconnected with. Admission of the problem is the first step. Now I just need to get reconnected. I do not mean to offend any of my coworkers or acquaintances, but relationships with coworkers and acquaintances, for me anyway, tend to be easier. This is because there is less intimacy involved, quite possibly because of the fact that less time is spent with these people. Since less time is spent with them, we have less chance and are less apt to go into deep conversations with them. let alone be intimate and bare our souls to them. Sometimes we are open with these people simply because we are open books, allowing everyone to see the true person we really are. I prefer to be an open book with people. There was a time when I was not very open simply because I was fearful of being judged. I did not care to share my fears because I would be called weak. For that matter, I would not share any of my defects of character for fear that I would be thought of as a lesser person. The fact that I failed to take into account was that people probably saw my defects long before I became aware of them. Now that I have awakened and am conscious and aware of my defects of character, I can keep an eye out for them and stomp them out, should they rear their ugly heads. When they do pop up nowadays, I am aware of them almost as soon as they appear. This is because I now live without them more than with them. When they do pop up, I recognize them almost immediately as something that should not be there so that I can eliminate them from whatever my current state of being may be. For a long time, especially during my days of intoxication, I just roared through life, flashing my defects of character everywhere I went, not really caring who I offended or what people thought of me. I was a tornado, roaring through the lives of others, inattentive to the destruction I was leaving in my wake. When I would slow down at times, I would take note of the damage I had caused, only to go back to storming and wreaking havoc. Now that I have a clear mind to see and think with, I am aware of my actions and their consequences. I know that if I wake up in a bad mood, and I am not constantly aware of how I am conducting my actions and behaviors throughout the day, I can totally ruin the day for everyone I come into contact with, including myself. If I notice myself being negative, I have the option to either continue that way or to change my thinking from negative to positive. I have trained myself to the point that most of the time anyway, I am aware of my state of being when I awaken in the morning. If it is one of negativity, I switch it right then and there by saying to myself, stop it. Today has the potential to be an amazing day. Make it so. Please, God, help me to remain positive. Up to this point, I have touched on the concept of being progressive in contrast to being regressive. I am confident when I say that people tend to like moving forward more than they like moving backwards. When I look back at my when I look back at my life up to this point, I do not like to think about the times when I lost progress and slid backwards. Thoughts about such times may come up from time to time, but it is dangerous for me to dwell on them for too long, as they will cause me to be filled with regret, which is just mental regression. If I want to stay on the path of progress, I must keep my mind fresh and new, focused on the present and what I am bringing to it. Do I really want to be bringing thoughts of regret about my past into my present when they will only help to produce thoughts of doubt about the future and in turn cause me not to act in the present? That would not help me to keep moving forward. So I must do my best to keep my thoughts of regret to a minimum. I may not be happy about certain points in my past, and I may wish they would have been different, but I should just think, that happened in the past and I cannot go back and change it. So I will just stay positive about the present and focus on what I can do right here and now. I can then move I can then continue moving forward in a positive direction instead of regressing into negative thoughts and feelings about things that I can do nothing about in the first place, which would keep a damper on my present and consequently my future. If we aim for our position in the future to be further ahead than where we are right now, we need to remain positively confident that we can do whatever it is we need to do to get there. We cannot be positively confident if our minds are filled with negative thoughts about our inabilities of days gone by and carrying those inabilities into the present. We need to focus on what needs to be accomplished today in order to get where we want to be tomorrow, and we need to be positively confident. Let me reiterate that. We need to be positively confident that we can do it. We need to set aside the inadequacies of the past and realize that we are enough to take on the present. For years, I did not think that I was enough, that I was unworthy of having abundance in my life. Even though others may have seen potential in me and I may have glimpsed it myself, I was still of the mindset that I had all these things blocking my path, so I was just not going to start something I would not be able to finish. The path to abundance. I was sorely mistaken. I had abundance. It was all around me. I simply failed to tap into it. There is a line from The Wizard of Oz when Glinda the Good Witch said to Dorothy, "You had the power all along, dear," or "You had the power all along, my dear." Rather than focusing on what I could do, I was looking at what I thought I could not do. So long as I was paying more attention to what I thought I could not do, the things that I could do remained impossible. As I was saying earlier, I've been reading books by, watching videos of, and listening to audio of motivational speakers off and on through the years. However, it was not until I got into the work of Brendon Burchard that I was truly awakened. I have heard the saying many times, when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. It would appear that I am finally ready because I have now begun to be able to tap into my true potential and the knowledge that I can reach any dreams I may have. We must remain aware that we have done a really good job of getting through seemingly impossible situations up until this point in time, and as such, we will continue to persevere so long as we continue to put forth the effort. Let us keep moving forward toward our dreams, pushing for that which we are passionate about. We will not see the fruition of our dreams if we do not keep a forward motion going in the direction of them. Too often are people distracted by every little movement or bright shiny object on the shoulder of the path of progress. We must put on blinders and see past all of the distractions so that we can clearly keep a vigilant eye on the road ahead of us, the one that leads to our dreams. We must look back to present life we led in the past and be ever so grateful that we are not locked up and held back from growing and reaching for the life that we truly dream of. We must look at the pleasant life we were stuck in for a time, being thankful that we do not have to stay there, where life is simply pleasant and we are no longer seeking to grow and reach for more. We must look in our hearts and minds, decide what we are passionate about, and strive to courageously follow the path toward our dreams. The path will be rocky and uneven at times, but we must not falter. We must keep our attention focused on our vision of where we are going and leave the past in the past. We must keep moving forward and be sure not to rest for too long at any particular point along the journey, else we grow stagnant and give up on our dreams. We must remain passionate about living life and traveling along the path of progress, ever advancing toward our dreams. I have found that the true adversary of life is not death, as it will be the end of every life anyway. The true adversary, which we all have the ability to escape from, is a detachment from being fully present and alive, experiencing the here and now for all that it is. We must reattach our passion for the present. Instead of dividing our mental faculties between thoughts of regrets of yesterday or worries about tomorrow, let us maintain our focus on the here and now. Let us keep our minds focused on what we can do to get us closer to where we want to be tomorrow.